The iPhone X and XR were both firsts for Apple in two ways. The former was the first to change the iPhone design and form factor, introducing Face ID, almost a bezel-less design, and gesture-based UI, all at an expensive price tag of $999. The latter featured all the aforementioned changes, but at a relatively lower price tag of $750 to give the iPhones a wider audience reach. But how do these two phones stack up in 2021? Well, we're about to find out in this video, and if you do end up liking it, support the channel by subscribing and helping me reach 400 subs. The only similarities in the design for these two phones are in the glass sandwich build and the IP67 dust and water resistance. Where the iPhone X has a shinier stainless steel style rating, which is clearly a scratch magnet by the way, the XR features an anodized aluminum frame to have more of a matte finish. The back of the iPhone X is also more reflective than the XR, and the X featured in this video is in the silver finish, which looks unexciting when compared to the white finish on the iPhone XR. As for the dimensions, the XR is slightly taller and wider than the X, but reaching the top extreme ends of these both phones is a bit tough. This size difference also leads to the XR being slightly heavier than the iPhone X, but that's not a huge deal in my opinion. I would however prefer the iPhone XR's design over the X, partly because of the side railing finish and the cleaner looking back, plus the exciting color options. The iPhone X does make up for this by having a better display. Where the iPhone X features a 5.8-inch OLED display that supports HDR, the iPhone XR features a 6.1-inch LCD panel that is lower in resolution than the X. Now both these panels are rated to be of the same brightness level at 625 nits, and that's decent enough for use in direct sunlight. For an average user, both these displays are plenty sharp with great viewing angles and color accuracy. But the iPhone X's OLED panel has deeper blacks along with HDR support that just makes the content pop. Another visually pleasing aspect of the iPhone X panel are the slim bezels. The iPhone XR has slightly thicker bezels and is astonishing to see how even 1 or 2 mm of shaving the bezels can have such a drastic look on a phone, and that is why I would prefer the iPhone X's display over the XR. But the iPhone XR does have a secret weapon. As discussed in my iPhone XR review, the LCD panel does have its fair bit of advantages. The lower resolution display along with the power efficient chip means that the iPhone XR can last longer in the battery life department. The iPhone X also has the drawback of having a smaller battery as well as a less power efficient chip. Even so, both these phones can easily last you a day with medium usage. Now I did do a small battery test by playing PUBG, using the camera, social media browsing, and taking phone calls, and the XR did seem to be doing better than the iPhone X. Now I would like to reiterate that the battery health is another important factor for these phones. The X is sitting at 84% battery health and the XR is at 98%, so the results are not 100% accurate. Now in terms of replenishing the battery, both these phones can fast charge at 50 watts and charge wirelessly as well. As for the camera setup, the iPhone X features a dual setup on the back, while the XR sheds the telephoto lens to keep the cost down. Even so, the XR can still take portrait shots of only human subjects with a single lens using software. Now I am sharing the shots I have taken from these phones, and you can judge for yourself which phone is better. In my opinion, the photos from both these phones look pretty similar, although I do find the look of the XR shots to be a bit better in terms of color reproduction. The telephoto lens in the iPhone X does come in handy in some situations, and in the XR you'll have to do with the digital zoom. The front selfie cameras on these phones are exactly similar, so the selfies you will take generally look the same as well. Both these phones are plenty capable in the video category as well. Option to shoot 4K at up to 60 fps is also there, and as is the option to shoot super slow-mo at 240 fps. Videos from these two phones also look similar, but as is in the still pictures category, the XR seems to reproduce better colors. Now regardless of this, I do believe that if you choose either of these phones, you won't be disappointed in the cameras. But if I were to pick a winner, I would choose the iPhone XR specifically because of the color reproduction, which is better than the iPhone X. Although comparing specs between these two phones is cheating because of the generational gap, yet the iPhone X and XR are not that different. Both these phones have 3 gigs of RAM and similar storage variants. The XR does offer the flexibility of choosing the 128 gig storage model, while the X does not. Another place the XR does have a leg up over the X is in the Apple Silicon powering these two phones. The iPhone X has the A11 Bionic chip that is built on a 10nm architecture, and the XR has the newer 7nm A12 Bionic chip. In real life use, however, the phones perform similar. Apps load at the same time, gaming performance is the same as well, and no matter what app you're using, there will be no hiccups in the day-to-day use. Both these phones are running the same software, but the iPhone XR will get updates for an extra year. Other than that, both phones have great call quality, no Wi-Fi or Bluetooth issues, and plenty loudspeakers for day-to-day use. As far as gaming goes, I did download PUBG and Call of Duty on these phones, and both games were buttery smooth in the gameplay. Loading these games is pretty quick as expected, and differences in load times among these phones are negligible. The iPhone X does tend to get a bit hot in longer duration gaming. It could have to do something with the phone's age or battery, and the XR didn't give me any such issues. And for the final question, if you are in the market for a used iPhone and have the iPhone X and the XR in your radar, which one do you choose? Now if it were me, I would choose the iPhone X over the XR. Now before some of you get shocked at the decision, hear me out. According to me, the display is one of the most important parts of the phone. It's the one thing in a phone that is actually used the most. And in my day-to-day use, the iPhone X just seemed to be a bit better in the display category. The higher resolution OLED display can play HDR content, produce more vibrant colors with deeper blacks, and at the same time have thinner bezels than the XR. The size of the iPhone X is also a bit more compact than the XR, and the X is also a tiny bit lighter than the XR. And don't forget, the iPhone X will cost you a bit less than the XR as well. And these reasons are enough for me to choose the iPhone X over the XR. But if you are willing to look past these minor drawbacks of the XR, I would definitely recommend getting this phone instead of the iPhone X. And that's it for this video, guys. If you ended up liking it, consider subscribing and hitting that like button. And again, I'll see you guys in the next one.